Desecration of the gods. Yesterday's video, I was a little more toned down, a little more polite. Not today. Desecration of the gods. What does that mean? Far too often and for far too long, humans have been at the mercy and whims of these gods. We have been duped, bamboozled, hoodwinked to give our power away to something external, to worship something external. This video today will break down how far we have fallen. And it may hurt some of you all's feeling. I'm sorry, but I am not what people may think. Desecration of the gods. In ancient Kemet, ancient Tamaray, ancient Ta, and any other names we want to conjure up to an ancient land that extended not in Northeast Africa, but all the way here to the west, in these lands, North and South America. In ancient Kemet, the way individuals or priests or priestesses work with the gods is far removed from the present day mentality and ritual workings that people have today. Today, we want to beg, we want to worship, we want to grovel to get the favor of the gods. In ancient Kemet, this was not so. This wasn't even close to so. And I'm sorry, but some of you conscious idiots are going to get offended because you swear you know Kemet, you make Kemet into some peace, love, and light society. Wrong. It was very far removed from that. This can be researched and you can find this information yourself. As a result, the Egyptians would threaten their gods with threats such as smashing their statues, burning down their temples, and killing their sacred animals if they did not do enough for the one who was performing the ritual. For example, here is a love spell from the 20th dynasty on a pottery fragment. If you do not make her come after me, then I will set fire to Busir and burn up Asar. We was not playing back then. We didn't look at the gods as some external force that had power to eliminate us, control us, and enslave us. Rather, we looked at them as them responding and doing as I say. On this path, the left hand path, I have seen the ridiculousness, the extremeness of how much you people worship. You people worship. Now, you may not call it worship. Someone sent me a text once and try to break down the etymology of the word worship. Unbeknownst to them, for years before they even knew me, years before I even came onto the left hand path, I used to study in depthly the etymology of words. And unfortunately, they tried and they didn't succeed. Never responded to when I broke this down for them. The word worship originates from the Old English vir percipi, meaning worthiness or the state of being worthy, and evolved to encompass reverence and honor paid to a deity or a person of high standing. Now, understand what this is saying. We felt that in order for us to worship you, according to this Old English word, you had to be worthy of that stature for us to even give you that reverence, that honor. In other words, we didn't just give out reverence without due cause, due result. Unfortunately, that's just Old English. Words have existed long before that, as English is more recent in history as far as language. And this individual sent me this for whatever purpose. I chopped them down immediately and let them know that's not what worship means. It was something you had to earn, something you had to achieve for people to give you that honor or respect. You don't get that honor or respect just by a mere title that you are a god, ancient or otherwise. You have to earn that right. But I take it further. I come from the ilk that I am not and will never worship anything again. I don't care if you are a god, demon, or otherwise. I am the master over this mind, body, spirit, soul, and all the nine aspects that make up me as a so called human being. I don't grovel, I don't beg, and I do not ever will bow down to anything outside of myself. And that mentality that I'm sharing with you all was something that was innately inside of me for years. And then in time, as I evolved further into the left hand path, I made a connection with Set, Sitech, so on and so forth. And I began to really understand the isolated consciousness, the separated consciousness, and the deific mindset, how to reach apotheosis. To deify oneself is to not worship, bow, grovel, or beg for anything or to anything outside of yourself. So, why would you, my left hand path brothers and sisters, beg? You guys beg quite often. Many of you on this path beg Lilith this and Lilith that, hail Lilith, and Lilith mother goddess, and Lilith bring this forth, and Lilith do this. That power is yours by right. They are not, they are not the caretakers and the owners of that power. That power that we all crave is not privy to any one group of beings, entities, so on and so forth. It is privy to all of us. You just have to reach out and take it. You can't be asking for something. You need to take it. This is my Sith vampiric mindset. You can't ask for power. You can't ask for freedom. You can't ask for anything that is by right naturally yours. You have to take your power back. You have to take your freedom. Stop giving your power to external people, forces, etc., and then think that they are going to give you that power back. No one can do that. No one can give you what is rightfully yours. You are a sovereign grand commander over your vessel, over your mind, spirit, and soul. No one has the rulership over you. Stop falling for the false pretense that you are under someone's authority, that you are under someone's rulership. Because once you give that mindset to that idea that you are under someone's rulership, someone's authority, someone's whatever the case may be, you forego your natural and inalienable rights as your own sovereign grand commander. What we did as black adepts, ancient black adepts, and the ones who still know this to today, is we desecrated the gods for playing with us, for trying to manipulate us, for trying to control us. Therefore, we devoured them. We desecrated them. We destroyed their names from history. We burned down their temples. We obliterated any evidence of their existence if they refused to do what I am by right receiving and requesting. I did not bow and beg, "Oh, Asar, you are so blessed. Oh, Asar, you are so wise and intelligent. You understand the science of life and nature. Therefore, privy me and bless me with this information, this knowledge. Bring it forth into my life, and I will always mention you through the annals of time." You sound like a weak coward, like a very weak coward. Stop it. You, by right, have the power. You just disconnected. You just forgot how to use it. So your journey is to activate that which is naturally yours. But unfortunately, people are too weak, too cowardly, too obsessed with worship to ever fully understand why Lilith is what Lilith is, why Setek is what he is, why Sekhmet is what she is, why Kali is what she is, why Tiamat is what she is. These are not external forces. These are internal forces that are laced throughout your subconscious and unconscious mind. And therefore, you must open the portals and gateways to bring them through your mind, not something outside of yourself, not some false illusion outside of yourself. It is and has always been an internal process, has always been an internal working. Why do people externalize it? Why do you want to see Lilith? I understand you want to see Lilith because you still haven't understood and understand that you are her. You've been given multiple images of Lilith. So if you don't fit one of those images, which there's billions of images of Lilith, and I said billions purposely, for every one person on this planet, there is a image or description of Lilith that would exist. Because you are that representation of what that primordial force is. So you are Lilith, but you make the disconnection because you may not fit the narrative that is being pushed in a left-hand path because it is European dominated or Euro American dominated. So you don't find your place in it. But we do know that Lilith is much older than this present day modern interpretation and description. We do know that Lilith goes back to Sumeria and beyond. as Lilitu and beyond. And the phenotypes, the physical appearances of the people of that time were described in the ancient Sumerian tablets as black-headed people. We do know that. We do know that the people of that area, the Middle East, the so-called Middle East, tend to be of a olive yellowish brownish to darkish brownish tone. Not what is depicted in the media, not as what is depicted in the social media and so on and so forth, but in actuality, when you go to these places, you see it for yourself and you say, whoa, I didn't know these many brown skinned people existed in these lands because Hollywood, because the media and so on and so forth paints the picture that they all look like this. When you go to these lands, you get shocked because the people, most of them don't look like that. They are browner than that. We have to disconnect and reconnect to the power you are. And if you want to use Lilith as a representation, Lilith is not external, never has been. You are Lilith. You sisters out there, I'm specifically speaking to you all right now. You are Lilith. This does not mean you are some ancient archetype, some ancient goddess. This doesn't mean that you have to go walking around dressed like ancient Lilith or anything else. What that simply means is you are the caretaker and the harnesser of that primordial energy, that primordial force that in time received many different titles from Lilith, Lilitu, etc., etc., etc. That name is attached to a primordial force, primordial energy that predates any names that we can give it. Predates all the titles, definitions, descriptions we have given it. You are tying back into that essence. That primordial force and energy is yours by nature. Why are you begging for what is yours by nature? Why are you groveling for what is yours by nature? Why aren't you taking back what is yours by nature? Oh, I love me, Mother Lilith. Mother Lilith told me this, and Mother Lilith told me that. No, that's your demonic self, your true self speaking to you because it understands how attached and how much you are so connected to needing some justification and validation of a Lilith archetype. So it utilizes that which you are so connected to or wanting to be like that it will utilize that very essence and primordial force to communicate to you messages that are just for you, no one else, just for you, so you can transform to reach your apotheosis. So you could reach that level of self deification. You don't have to look at and study what Lilith did to know that you are similar to her. You've been doing those things before you even knew Lilith existed. Some of you women are warriors by nature. This is why you were able to raise a child on your own. This is why you were able to raise children, feed the children, work, go back to get your education, so on and so forth. That is the warrior nature within you that will not quit. Some of you women also have the seductive nature of Lilith. You are just oozing sexual energy, oozing seductiveness. You don't have to tap into Lilith and try to mimic that. You've been that before you even knew about Lilith. But what happens when you try to imitate that or try to connect to that, a part of yourself dies. Many times I've seen this. A part of yourself dies because you're trying to fit this narrative of what has been given to you instead of retaining much of who you are, once you've mastered much of yourself, done the shadow work, and so on and so forth, that which is remaining has always been Lilith before you knew of a Lilith. But unfortunately, you you circumcised yourself. Lack of a better word. You circumcised yourself. You disconnected yourself from your true self, from your demonic self. That's why an excellent book that I read many years ago, and some of you all have read too, we've been recommending this for a long time, is The Black Ship. The Black Ship. That is a great book to tap and connect to your demonic self. Not the mask, the persona you created to exist here, but the true self. And you will realize as you do that work, man, I've always embodied this energy of Lilith. I've always been like this before I even knew of it. That is your nature. Some of you all, that is your nature. Some of you are more like Kali. Yes, there's similarities between Kali and Lilith, but there's a lot of differences too. There is a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. Some of you all may be more like Kali, not the watered down, fluffy version we get today. Kali is more ferocious, more sadistic, more dark than most of us can handle. That is why people water her down, make her more motherly and nourishing in nature and caring. That's an aspect, no doubt. But we do that so that we can understand and be able to embrace that more, because the real aspects of Kali, the darker aspects, her true original manifestation is very, very dark, demonic, beast like in nature, that some people cannot comprehend it or be able to embrace it. So we water that down. And therefore, it makes it more palatable for us to deal with. But some of you all have that nature. Some of you are very dark, sadistic, cunning, deceptive, so on and so forth. We're not dealing with morality here. We're not dealing with right or wrong, or that's wrong or right for a woman to be like that. I don't deal with none of that. You are who you are, and your nature is what your nature is. I'm not trying to alter your nature or who you are. You just be that. Shadow work takes care of refining you to be what you're supposed to be. And it's not some holy roly, spooky, going up to the Himalayan mountains and meditating all day and night type of individual. That's not what the work is about. It is literally just taking a rough stone, what we call a rough ashlar in the lodge, and refining it to be a perfected stone. You take the gavel, you hit it, you cut it, you strike it to create a perfect stone to fit in and to become the cornerstone of your temple. Therein, you build your foundation upon that. That's where the beginning is at. That's what shadow work does. That is the importance of shadow work. It refines you so you can be more of what you are supposed to be, but you have control over everything that has affected you, hurt you, traumatized you, so on and so forth. You now have control over these things. You no longer are susceptible to someone's whims, someone's emotional outbursts, so on and so forth. You're able to remain calm in the eye of the storm and not be affected by the storm. But don't get it twisted. We easily can unleash that storm upon those who try to violate. So for the woman, this is something that you may have to grapple with, and you may have to work to embrace. You've already been that. You don't have to say, I'm Lilith. I understand why people would say that, but you don't have to. You are becoming you. You. And if that's a variation of what you use to define as Lilith, fine. But you are still you. At the end of the day, it's all you, regardless of what you're trying to attach to or use to define. It's you. And when you deify yourself, you stand out as a god amongst the mortals because you no longer are controlled by the same morality as morals. As mortals. You're no longer controlled by that same narrative, that same morality that binds and controls and chains humans down. You rise above. So you start becoming a god unto others because your characteristics, your intelligence, your results, your workings is becomes legendary in time. To my brothers out there, stop it. You guys have become weak, more feminine than ever. Take control over yourself. Check your emotions at the door and be able to have a real conversation with people without your emotions becoming so involved that you have to off someone and unalive someone because your little feelings got hurt. Stop wearing all these feminized clothes. Well, some of y'all feminine by nature. That's a whole different spiritual discussion for a whole nother day. But yet, and still, not all of you guys are like that. Some of you guys are socialized to become that. Grab your balls, make sure it's still there. Realize you come from a long line of warriors too. You're Set, you're Ogun, you're Thor. You're whatever the case may be, you are a warrior by nature. Some of you are warriors by nature, but you're becoming weak. You are becoming weak. You're groveling, begging for anything and everything. You'll beg a woman, and you'll beg a woman for sex. That weakens you. Because a real woman don't want to. Oh, well, I wish I could say what I really want to say, but this is social media and they do have community guidelines. But you guys are begging, okay? You're begging, and real women get turned off by someone who is weak, grovels, has to beg for something. Stop it. Become a warrior. A woman is attracted to a warrior. A woman's attracted to a fighter. A woman's attracted to a go-getter, a man who accomplishes great feats. Y'all begging. You've but you want to call yourself a god and you living in your mama's basement begging a female to come over. What female is going to come over your mama's house to her basement so you could try to smash? Boy, this shit just sounds stupid to me. You trying to smash in your mama's basement, acting like you're a real man. And if she comes over, what does that say about her too? Anyways, whatever. That's a different story. We have to wake the hell up. We desecrated the gods. We didn't bow or worship them because you can be a god. And as you become a true god, which is simply taking responsibility over your life, taking responsibility and accountability over all your successes and all your failures. It is not blaming this person or that person. It is not blaming the devil and thanking God. It is taking total responsibility and accountability for all your success and your failures. for all your actions, whether the actions were good, bad, evil, wrong, right, whatever you need to use to define some kind of morality that is ill-fated. You don't realize how you give up your divinity to something outside of yourself that can't be proven or verified, but you want to call yourself a god and have not gotten your life in order. A god is not someone who could spew forth knowledge. That is a philosopher. A god is someone who puts things into action to manifest and get results, and therefore understands that the results are their own and not of some external sky daddy, sky mama, or group of gods, goddesses, so on and so forth. And God understands that if I made a mistake, I take responsibility for that, not blame someone else for my actions. Your actions are your own. It is your own will that pushed you towards those actions, and then you want to blame someone else for your actions. For example, for example, you end up cheating on your partner. But then when you get caught, you want to blame the woman you cheated with for your misgivings. How is it her fault? Oh, she didn't have to look so good. Oh, she didn't have to seduce me. All this. You know what you say when you say things like that? That you're weak. That you're mentally weak, easily manipulated and controlled to make you violate whatever principles you guys live by in your marriage. And then you want to blame your wife or your girlfriend, your partner, boyfriend or whatever, whatever you into is all good. You want to blame them for your misgivings. Oh, you weren't giving out. You weren't putting out when I was home. If you can't discipline yourself enough, sexually discipline yourself, you're a coward and you're weak. Period. Not always. Just because you're married or in a relationship, I know this might hurt people's feelings. Just because you're married or in a relationship, men or women, does not mean you're entitled to sex just because you're married. It doesn't mean you sign a contract, because nowhere in some marriage contract does it say you have to put out regardless. You have to spread them legs regardless. You got to get erect and hard regardless. There's nowhere in no marriage contract is that written. But we have to understand that when you have a partner, everything you do does affect your partner, whether you realize it or not. Study science, study quantum physics, study these things, and you'll see how your actions and reactions do affect others. But we want to blame our partner for why we cheated. We want to blame the girl we cheated with for cheating, or vice versa. We want to blame everybody but ourselves and don't take accountability for our actions. This mindset, however, can be found in religion, which many of us were raised with. It can be found in religion. Adam was the first coward, weak ass dude. When God called out to Adam, what happened, Adam? What did you do? Oh, the woman you gave me. You see that weakness? That's how some of y'all are. That's how some of you men are. Oh, the woman you gave me. Adam, the woman did not shove the apple in your mouth, Adam. You voluntarily and freely chose to eat of the apple, Adam. Eve did not force it in your mouth. Get your mind out the gutters, people. Get it out the gutters. All right? Because I know some of y'all taking it further and visualizing other stuff, but as for private classes, the same for YouTube land. But where all this comes from because of the power we gave to something external who walked in the cool of the day in the Garden of Eden, which makes it a mortal being in physical form. Because in order to differentiate between hot and cool, cool and hot, you have to be in a physical form in order to be able to feel the sensation of the two. It's another story for another day. But our peoples were not weak as we've become today. We desecrated the gods. We broke their statues. We put curses on them. We obliterated their existence because we are gods in our own right. And I am not going to do something and give you the power. If we gonna work together, you gonna give me something in return. Otherwise, we ain't working together. I'm gonna just get rid of you or devour you. Unas, Unas, the first vampire in history. I'm using that European word to define or describe what we consider someone who devours energy, the life force. Unas would be the first vampire in recorded history. I said recorded history. Unas devoured the gods. In his initiation, he devoured the gods because he understood to be a pharaoh is to be a god on earth. I can't have no other gods that I bow and worship to. Therefore, I take upon the energy and power of all those gods and manifest it within me. We have become weak. We have become worshipers. We have become beggars. So here's some homework for you guys. Start writing your invocations and put yourself in the invocation. Stop saying hail Lilith, hail Satan, hail Samael, hail, hail, hail. If you put a name behind the words hail, put your own. Yes, it may sound weird to some of you all. You may not feel like you're worthy of that. But the highest worship is for self. I'm going to say it again. The highest form of worship is worshiping yourself. Hail Ravana. Hail whatever you guys' name is. Hail this. I am this. I am that. I possess this. I am known to be that. And so on and so forth. You start shifting your mind into a mindset of self-deification if you do this for 21 straight days. Start rewriting all the invocations you ever used and put yourself, your name in it. Put your name in it, and you will see a shift in your life. You will see a change in your life because you are now deifying the self. You are putting the self back on the throne to be the sovereign grand commander and ruler over your life. That is true power. That is when you start to understand why the ancient ones, our ancestors, would desecrate the gods, why we would devour the gods. It's not a foreign concept as what has become foreign to us today. This is a concept that has been found and done for thousands of years. We have in modern times gave our power to everything outside of us. And therefore, we are in a state of servitude and not in a state of rulership. In my old videos, I used to say this motto quite often, and it's still true to this day to me. I still live by this today. There's only two type of people on this planet. There's masters and there's servants. Masters, servants, slaves. There's masters and there's servant slaves. There's masters and there's servants. Period. There's no in between. You are either a master or you're a servant. Which one do you choose to be? Choose wisely and move forward accordingly because this will dictate your life from here forth. This will dictate your life here forth. When I do rituals and I go into the ritual room, it is me. Everything in that room is a reflection of me. I don't have statues and deities everywhere like a lot of people do. There's only two statues on my altar of anything that represents a deity: Set and Sekhmet. And sometimes Set and Sekhmet are alternated by Shiva and Kali. And even then, sometimes none of them are on the altar. It's just representations of me. Representations of me, my power, my reflection. I see on the altar. I see my various power and aspects reflected back to me. Why? Because when I go in there, it is my temple where I sit on my throne and govern my life and create my future. It is my domain, my kingdom in that altar ritual room. So everything in there is a reflection of me. There is no bowing, there is no groveling, there is no begging. It is this or this alone. It is self mastery. It is transformation. It is mastering and overcoming my weaknesses, transmuting my weaknesses, or eliminating those that hold no value to me anymore. That is the work. That is the work. It is self motivation. It is increasing my discipline. It is setting my day, my week, my month, so on and so forth. It is bringing my intentions into reality. That is the work of apotheosis. I'm not a philosopher. I don't read a lot of books. I don't quote a lot of books. I don't do that. That is in the past. I've read thousands and thousands and thousands of books in my life. I have a vast library still right now. I am the book. I've been the book, and I will always be the book because you are writing the story of your life right now as you exist. Just like you are the altar. You've always been the altar. You are the walking altar, and you are ritualizing your life every step of the way. People say, what do you mean? Why am I, how am I an altar? What is usually put or placed on an altar to create a working? Usually the four elements are manifested in representations on the altar: earth, water, fire, air. You as a human being are that manifestation. You represent earth, fire. Your solar plexus is the oxygen in the carbon creating a combustion to create fire within yourself. You are the water. Your body's composed of mostly water. Your skin is the earth. Therefore, this is why ashes go back to ashes or dust back to dust. You are the air. What you breathe is air. What you give out is air. You are the manifestation of an altar. Your candles are your eyes. They light up. They guide the way. They are like flashlights. They are tunnels to the soul. You are the candles that you put on your altar. You are a altar, a walking, moving, living, breathing altar. Ritualize everything in your life. Deify self and realize who you are. Stop the groveling, stop the begging. Yeah, altars can be cute. They can be dope with all these statues that represent gods and who all this god and this that, but unfortunately some of y'all are doing it wrong. You're still giving your power unto something else. Put yourself on your altar. What reflects you? My thing, and what I've always connected to the most, and I've shared this a lot, quite often, is vampirism and Sith. So what you see on that altar is just that, vampirism and symbols of Sith and so on and so forth, because I am not into the worship thing. I am not into the hailing anything. I heal myself. So everything you see on this altar of mine is just that self. I'm not telling you this is the way. I'm saying this is something you could consider doing if that's the level you want to get to. In the Patreon classes, when we work with these so-called deities, archetypes, whatever, demons, so on and so forth, people know in the class it's not an act of worship. You are devouring and embodying that primal energy and force that is yours by nature. That is what we do in the class. It's not about worship. It's about taking that power, making it yours. Because it's yours by right, it's yours by nature. We created the gods, so therefore you are the god of gods. These gods don't exist unless you acknowledge their existence. Let me say this again. The power of the mind is as such. Gods don't exist unless you acknowledge them as existing. Then at that moment, that's when they exist. But you still were the God that made them manifest into an existence within your mind. Get that? You on your way to self-deification, apotheosis. All right. Once again, announcements. Investing in your future finance classes this coming Friday at 8 p.m. on patreon.com. Temple of the Black Serpent. We're going to go over credit scores, how to repair your credit. We're going to go over the importance of LLCs, the importance of corporations, the importance of structuring your business, so on and so forth. We're going to go into a lot of different things in this financial class. Join patreon.com, Temple of the Black Serpent. Go to the Invest in Your Future membership tier, sign up, and then after the class, you delete yourself. Why? Because we only have that class 4 times a year. The 4 quarters of business, that's when we meet. So you and all of us do ourselves a favor and let's get with the financing. The financing in your future, investing in your future, becoming more independent from society, be able to determine your future. That is Friday. Upcoming classes is Awakening the Sleeping Dragon, which is the intro to vampirism. That is upcoming at the end of the month. The Tunnels of Set class. We are going to be doing the Necromancy class, the Advanced Vampiric class. We are doing the Shadow Work class. And we're doing mentorship classes. It's one-on-one. Takes your work further. It's like basically mentoring you, giving you information on ways to work this that can assist you more than just how we do it in the class. It's more one-on-one, able to ask questions that more would suit you. All right. Again, if you don't see me for a while, you understand that I'm doing Patreon classes because that is where my focus is at. You want to invest in yourself. You want to become that God over self. That's where my focus is at. When people take those steps, I put my focus on that. So that's why YouTube videos are less and less. I will make some sporadically throughout the year. I may make them back to back and then I'll disappear for a while because the work of the self is very important to myself and to those who invest in it. All right. Infernal blessings to all of you all. Oh, one more thing. For those seeking Sith, which to me, Sith is the embodiment of the left hand path in totality. You may not see it now. You may think it's Hollywood, all this. No, it's more than that. Okay. The Sith is a different Patreon page. It's patreon.com Sith Temple of Darkness. If you want to be challenged, there's 12 challenges that will challenge you physically, mentally, and spiritually before we begin any true level of work on the Sith path. All right. There's a new working and level to the Sith Temple of Darkness. It is called the Eightfold Sith Path. The Eightfold Sith Path is something I've been working on for a while that is finally ready to be revealed. Okay? For those who want to manifest the power of being a Sith, go there to that Patreon page. All right. Infernal blessings. I will see you all soon.